right, guys, welcome to week 2 of Elevate. We are so excited for today, and we're excited that you are on and that you've made the commitment, no matter how early it is, to come on in and to just learn with us, to grow with us, and to really level up in your business no matter where you are. You know, some of you are brand new coaches. If you're new, throw it in the chat. We want to welcome you officially to our family. You know, most of you have been coaching for a while, and you're here just to level up in your business. You're here to grow. You're here to master all the skill sets as we learn them, but we also learn them to teach them, right? Because everything that we do, and Rachel says it so beautifully, is we see it, we do it, we teach it, right? And so we're here to learn ourselves, so that way we can really help those on our team, those around us, those are our future coaches, on how to really help them grow and expand. But for those who don't know me, if you're new, my name is Michelle. I have been coaching now for over 5 years, which has been just mind-blowing how fast it's gone. And to be honest, it's truly changed my life in so many incredible ways. What started as weight loss, like many of you, and just coming in just to lose weight, right? And then you started to see the magic of what was happening in your life. Like myself, I was just seeing like, wow, like this really works. And those around me, I became that walking billboard, right? Where people around me were noticing, and that inspired us to really coach. We had a lot of desires in life. We had a lot of whys. We really wanted a bigger life, and we knew that what we were doing in the time that we were doing it 5 years ago wasn't going to get us there. So we went all in and we said, okay, let's give this coaching thing a go. For me, I was a little bit more hesitant, I would say, than Josh was. Josh was like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm just like, oh, I don't know if this is going to work, right? I know many of us probably feel the same way. But we leaned into our mentor team. We really made the decision, and it has turned into the most incredible blessing in our life, aside from, the kids and all those things. So now we're here to really help you create the same. A lot of you have been coaching for years. Some of you have been coaching for months. Some of you have been coaching for maybe minutes. But wherever you are in your journey, we're just excited that you're here. As you have seen, this is week 2 of this incredible training, and we're really going to just teach you the ropes of growing to executive director. As we start off as brand new coaches, we have kind of that first milestone in our business of senior coach. And that really is obviously helping your first 5 clients, right? Creating those skill sets, learning the skill sets to help your first few clients. And then from there, you're going to have a few pit stops along the way until the next big milestone. And there's so many amazing reasons why, executive director really is such an incredible spot to be in your business. You're helping a lot of people. You've really created more of the skill sets, I guess, the knowledge of helping others. Now you're really branding yourself. You're sharing your story out loud. You're sharing it passionately. And you're just excited to help others. And it just really kind of creates that. For those who may not know, executive director, also gives a really great financial blessing. Anywhere between $1,800 to $2,200 a month, which is, can really change someone's life. And so, that's why we're really teaching you all the skill sets throughout this training. As you have seen, we have our Elevate group, or Elevate to Success group, and I'm excited to kind of talk a little bit about that before we get started, because, yes, it is a group for this boot camp where we're giving you all of the action steps. But to talk a little bit about what it's going to look like in the future, this is a group that we're going to have from here on out, where we're going to actually plug in brand new coaches into an action step group, right? As you've seen, all of these have really been more social media driven. And so we really want to teach you and all future coaches the skill sets when it comes to basic social media, right? How to work your posts, right? How to do, as you saw yesterday, was a lot of videos as far as how to really work your before and after, about how to thank the likes, how to, send messages to people who are asking, so we're really creating a 30-day action step driven group that really gives you and every new coach to come a day-to-day base on exactly what to do when it comes to their actions, when it comes to social media, right? What to post, adding 5 friends, starting conversations, right? Because we know adding friends just creates a bigger audience that more people can see, right? We say, there's 5,000 seats in our auditorium of Facebook. Why are we limiting ourselves to only having a few hundred friends, right? And so if we're adding 5 friends a day times 30 days, that's 200 new friends a month. We just continue to be consistent in that. We're really expanding that audience. Also with messages, right? If you were on kind of right before we really started, we started talking about the power of conversations and how that really takes your business to a next level. We don't have to overthink it. We're really just a basic, hey, how's it going, right? A lot of it has to do with thinking the likes that you probably saw the video to yesterday. So this group really is to really help you with the action when it comes to social media, but also really teach you some of the things that you're seeing, right? How to work an engagement post. You're gonna see videos on like, health assessment tips. You're gonna see videos on follow-up tips, celebration calls, how to drip coaching on health assessment. I mean, you're gonna get it all over the next 30 days. Well, I guess 26 days left. But it's gonna be a really great way to really plug in new coaches, so that way they start day one, right? Even before taking it to their launch, they're already building their influence on social media and bringing in that engagement, right? That's on day one and day three, bringing in the engagement, doing a teaser post, and in that way, by day 4, they're ready to do their launch. They've already been interacting with some people. So just to kind of give you an idea of what this group is gonna look like, if you haven't checked it out yet, definitely go check it out. And then also, so for the future, for when new coaches come in, is we're gonna do an awesome welcome video, welcoming them in. We're gonna actually have a video that's gonna be coach testimonials so that they get inspired, through other coaches' stories. And then we're gonna show them how to really work the group. As you've noticed, you've seen the hashtags, right? So something that you can do if you skip some days or if you wanna go back is go to the search tab and you're gonna do hashtag day 1 and you're gonna see all the videos for day 1. Go to the search tab, day 17. You're gonna see all the videos to check out for day 17. So really excited about that and what's to come, but I'm really excited about today because today we're gonna go over a skill set that is so powerful, that is so, it's something that we do, right? And so we really wanna sharpen those skills. That's what we do in this, right? Is that you may come in and you may not be very comfortable with this, but you guys, it's not about perfection, right? It's all about just practicing and just making yourself better, because there's going to be no such thing as being perfect at it, right? But you're really sharpening those skill sets to help you move forward. And so today we're going to go through, really how to lead a strong health assessment, right? Really going through a lot of the key points of how to really build rapport, how to, lead a really strong health assessment, how to go over the cost justification, understanding objections, right? And then we're also gonna get into the start of client integration. It's gonna be a two-part thing. So we're gonna really start it off today, and how to really support your clients strong in their first week and in their first month. And then we're gonna finish that off next week. But before we get into all that, we were talking with our globals our leaders in this group. We come together because we're all putting this training together for you guys. And we really wanted to talk about, what does it take in this business? We really came up with 3 things that it really takes in this business to grow, right? To level up, to become who we're meant to be, to become who we want to be, to become more. And so we're gonna get through that, or we're gonna go through that. And I'm really excited to first kick it off because we are gonna go through 3 things, you guys. Okay, you ready for the 3 things? Write this down and take some notes. Okay, the first one is grit. It takes grit in this business. It also takes grace and it takes consistency. So write those down, take some notes, because you're gonna hear from some incredible people who are gonna go through that. So first up, we're gonna bring on Chris Kidd to come on and share with us. Hey, it takes grit, man. Tell us about it.
All right, guys. Yeah, no, absolutely. You're going to hear a lot on this bootcamp, what we can show you. You can see these videos that we put out yesterday. We're feeding you step by step on how to create an amazing business, because all this stuff that we've done. But I'm going to go unplug just for a second here. I'm going to show you guys the things that I can't teach you, and those things that Michelle just said: grit, grace, and consistency. There's no rule book. You can't read about digging deep and figuring out what it takes to build a great business, because it comes with inside. It's all what you have inside of you. What separates us from a normal job, whatever you guys do for a living on the full time, or maybe this is your full-time thing, is, but like me, I'm a police officer. That's what I do full time. And I know what I can get away with as a cop in terms of I can go out there and just arrest all the bad guys all day long and have a great day. I'm still going to make my $56 an hour. I can also sit at the donut shop, right? Don't do a darn thing and still make 56 bucks an hour. That's just how it worked probably in mostly every single job. The one thing that I figured out quickly is that that mentality does not work here, because the more I do, the more I put into this, the more I've gotten out of it. And it's been shown through me and Andrea, the more harder time. But if I decide to mail it in for that day, guess what? That's going to bite me in the rear end sooner or later. This is really something that I can't teach you. I don't have a rule book, and maybe there's something out there that I'm not aware of, but you really got to dig deep down inside. And when these trainings are here, when your coaches are feeding you this material, it's great and all, but it's up to you to implement it and put it into action. I don't want to call people out, but I do, because if you look on the Zoom, there's a girl named Erica Reister on here, and I'm looking at her screen right now. If you look on the back of her wall, she's got a war board the size of half that wall. She reminds me of like General Patton for Optavia right now. She plans this thing. If you've heard her talk before or watch her on the Zoom, she is in it to win it every single day. And that's why she is kicking butt and doing so well. I don't have a lot of the skills as Rachel Richards, as Michelle Bombas. I can't talk as fluently as Rachel. I don't have the brain mastermind as Josh Bomba. But what I do got is that I'm going to outwork probably anybody I come across every single day, because I know that if I keep pushing, and this goes with my health, is with my business, I'm going to be the best that I can be. I'm going to go pretty far in this freaking organization. But the one thing I remind myself is that every single day, or all of you reached out to your coach one day because you wanted to get healthy. You had some sort of why where you, and mine was, I didn't want to die early. I knew what the trajectory I was on, the stress I had from my job. I knew what was going on internally, and I had a why to get healthy. And same thing with financially with this business. And not only do I want to help people, but I don't want to end up like my parents. I don't want to be divorced at the age of 60, trying to figure out how to make ends meet, going from relationship to relationship. I really want to have a solid plan where I can create generational wealth for my family to come. And I know that's a tool that I'm going to utilize. I'm going to use this program, this organization, health coaching, to get myself there. Remember, guys, the easy part is what we're telling you to do. It's starting conversations, it's going out there and just, creating those posts, getting out there, just killing it every day. The hard part is killing it every day. You got to do it. You got to put in the work. And I don't care. Remember, your goals don't care how you feel. That's one of the terms you're going to hear a lot. You got to go out there and slay it, guys.
Preach it, my friend. Yes, you guys, grit. I want to actually read you as Chris was talking. I wanted to bring up, what does it mean to have grit through Google's definition? I'm going to read this to you guys because it is absolutely so true when it comes to grit, what it takes to really build this business. So to have grit means you have courage and show the strength of your character. A person with true grit has passion and perseverance. Goals are set and follow through. A person who works really hard to follow through on commitments has true grit. It is not a word you hear very often. Why is it a word that you not hear very often? Because of the life that we typically live day to day, right? What we have probably grown up to think that life should be. And so a lot of us don't probably come into it with it because it's something that we don't know, right? Exactly, Julie. We choose easy, but easy doesn't take you all the way, right? It's really working really hard, making those goals and knowing that you're going to do whatever it takes to go after those goals. I will share, I know for us, and I can only obviously share my experience, is that we had some big goals, but I knew the goals weren't going to happen with us actually not working after them, right? So we had to give up a lot of things. We had to, we had to choose hard. We had to give up the good for the great, which is something that you probably hear a lot of, right? So there's so many things that, it takes to build this business. It's not easy. It really isn't. It takes hard work. But let me tell you, on the other side of that hard work is something so beautiful, is something so incredible of you living your life to the fullest, you living those goals, you knowing that you worked so hard and had so much passion and grit to be able to live the life of your desire. So thank you, my friend. All right, let's kind of get into it, or let's get past grit, and let's really talk about grace. And for that, no one better than Miss Rachel Richards to come on. So Rachel, my friend.
Thank you so much. I love it, Chris. I think you're the hungriest bear in the forest for sure. And I love it. Super, super inspiring, because knowledge is great, but not when it's on ice. And so, I think that's truly not going to help you here. A lot of knowledge, it's not going to help you. I totally agree with that. Let's talk about grace. The best definition of grace, high level, unmerited favor. Unmerited favor. Really good definition, right? But there's other applications that we can draw from that word. And so I would love for you to think about this opportunity as it was placed. Sometimes Optavia finds you, right? And sometimes you find it. I'm looking in the screen right now, and a lot of you, Optavia found you. And there has been some unmerited grace that has been literally placed in your hand. And we don't necessarily deserve such an incredible gift like this. When we think about the potential of our pay, when we think about the leaders non-stop rising early, staying up late, helping you win, when they've already got some of the things that they want, but they're like, yeah, I don't want to go alone. I don't want to go alone. I don't want to go alone. And they're tirelessly pouring into you. That's grace. That's literally unmerited. You didn't wake up and deserve that. I didn't either. I didn't deserve the Bombas. I didn't deserve their patience. I didn't deserve Jamil Frazier and all the ways that he was there saying things when my brain needed to hear it. I didn't deserve that. There was nothing I did to cook that up, right? So grace is something that we should give ourselves for what we yet do not know how to do. This is my opinion. For what we don't know how to do, what we haven't become, grace, right? You got to impute it. You got to apply it. But if you know to do good things and you're just like this because you're holding on to old labels and old identities and old ways of thinking, that's when grit needs to come and give you a little smack upside the head, right? So they're beautiful partners. You can't separate great and grit, like grit and grace, sorry. And I want you to take a list of grace opportunities today. Your future self is going to need a ton of grace, a ton of grace. And here's why. You're going to need grace for so many things, but let me list a couple and you see what resonates with you. How about grace for other people that took your dreaming away? Maybe like, no, that's not realistic. You know, play that down. You're getting a little ahead of yourself. You're starting to sound a little crazy, right? Like grace for them that they don't know that you're like, no, I was born to live in uncommon freedom and I'm going for it. Let's give grace to them. Let's give grace for all the days that you want to make this about you. You're going to need to apply grace and forgive yourself for every day that you make this mission about you. It will happen. It's okay. Lean into your mentors. It happens to me all the time. I'm still very, very guilty of that. Okay. But thank God I have mentors that correct me. They don't reject me. They correct me. Big difference. Grace for all the labels you've held on to. We covered that. I'm shy. I'm an introvert. I'm going to wear this around. This is my identity. You're going to need grace for all the days you told yourself that, because that's not going to get you to where you want to go. You're going to need grace for your starting point. Some of us don't have the same starting point as other people. Some of us were not on social media ever before we started this business. And we're here and we're trying and we're scared and we're shaking and we're doing it. And now we're comparing ourselves to someone that started with 4,800 friends, right? Grace for your starting points. Own it. It's okay. Your journey is beautiful. It's going to be amazing. But don't compare. Grace for every time you compare to someone else and want their gifts and talents. When I believe God's given you your own magical unicorn talents that are just going to be fine and bless this whole team and mission, right? Grace for the path that you took before you found this. It's all going to be a part of your story. It's not to be begrudged. You haven't wasted time. You don't need to pressure cook the business to try to make up for time. Your journey is going to be beautiful. It's all a part of it. You're going to find the people that are looking for you. You're going to need grace for your mentors. They're unbecoming, just like you. They're not perfect. They don't know everything. They're trying, they're failing their face off and getting back up again. Okay. It's going to take a ton of grace for you to be able to stay the course and build this most incredible life that you've wanted since you were little, but it was beat out of you because it just didn't fit the norm, right? That's going to take a ton of grace. Grace for every time you're going to want to microwave this business when it takes crock potting, and every time you crock pot it when you needed to air fry it. Like, this is a healthy tension of, there's times where we get in our own way and we take a long time to do things that don't take a long time to do. And there's other times we try to microwave relationships and wonder why the foil blows up in the microwave, right? So there's going to be this need. The last thing I'm going to say about grace is give yourself the chance to be a beginner. And then give someone else a chance to be a beginner and unbecome. And that all requires a ton of grace. The one thing I hear in this business over and over and over is, I just don't know enough. I just don't want to make any mistakes. Grace for that line of thinking, because you are going to fail if you do anything great. And if you're not failing your face off, you're probably pretty stinking comfortable. And I fail my face off every day, you guys. I can give you 80 ways this business doesn't work because of my failures. So embrace that and give yourself grace, and don't call them failures unless you keep repeating them and you don't go to your mentors and ask for help, right? Grace for all of those things. So last one, grace for when you are competitive and not collaborative. We're the second fastest growing company in the world, ahead of Amazon, Tesla, all these companies. That doesn't come from competition. That comes from collaboration. And if you had a spirit in your business of competition, grace and forgiveness for that, because it will take all of us to get where we all want to go.
Woo! Straight fire right there. There's not much to add to that. She covered it all, right? I mean, that was so good, my friend. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to consistency, right? So you've got grit, you've got grace, and you best believe consistency is part of that, of what you need. So Cindy, Global Director Cindy, to come on and share with us, what does it take?
Good morning, everyone. I feel like we could have just stopped with Rachel and Chris and just been like, hey, training's done for Saturday. Let's just go do the stuff. Because honestly, I don't know. I feel like that's such an appropriate topic today, talking about grace and grit. But the key component that locks both of those in is consistency. Here's the cool thing about consistency. It is not a talent and it is not a skill. And so anybody can do it. You have complete control over whether or not you want to be consistent with this business. And the best part about it is there's no like magic trick to this. Like, we tell clients, follow your program. You have the 5-in-1, you have the 4-in-2, whichever program it is that you're doing. If you're consistent with it, you're going to get consistent results. This is no different with coaching. We are literally giving you the 5-in-1 for coaching. And if you follow it, I promise you, you're going to get the results you're looking for. And I love that Rachel touched on how some people come in with like this huge social influence. They're popping health assessments right and left, popping clients right and left. That's not everyone's story. There's plenty of folks, including our own. We didn't hit our cab bonus. We didn't hit executive director in a month. Kudos to those who do, but that's just not our story. And that's okay. Accept your story and give yourself grace for it, like Rachel said. But what I want to make sure you guys do is be consistent every single day. Chris said your goals don't care how you feel. It's true. I mean, if you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I really don't want to do this today. Well, cool. Then wake up in the morning and go to someone else's job and build someone else's dream. I don't know about you guys, but that doesn't sound very exciting to me anymore these days. Not since we've been health coaching over almost 2 years now, full time. I don't want to build someone else's dream. I want to consistently wake up every morning and build my own dreams and work towards our own goals. And it's just what we're doing. It's what we're making it happen. So here's the thing. The only thing that separates you from someone else truly is consistency. There was a quote I looked up. It was like the difference between being consistent. being consistent is the difference between success and failure. If you decide only 3 out of the 7 days you want to wake up and touch your business, by all means, only touch your business 3 out of the 7 days. But if you expect to grow a business 3 out of your 7 days, it's going to happen a lot slower than you think. And a part of it locks into your branding. If you're not consistent with branding, folks don't even know you're a health coach. So why would they ask you to get healthy if you haven't been consistently branding yourself? It truly is the magic key. And all 3 of these together, I promise you, you will be a force to be reckoned with if every day you touch your business some way, somehow, because that's the key, you guys. I don't know. I mean, that's all I really have to say about consistency is just do the work. It's not that hard. Chris is putting up all these great videos. We're giving you all the action steps to do it. Plug into them every single day, whether you want to or not. And if you're not really in the mood for it, reach out to your mentor team. It's okay to reach out to them and be like, you guys, I'm like having a moment this week. We've heard from a few folks these past few weeks, especially those that have gotten COVID. They're like, I'm just like in a slump. I don't really feel like touching my business. But guess what? They're still touching their business. COVID and all, I still touched my business, you guys. That's what it's about, is just doing it every single day, even when you don't feel like it. So, Michelle, do you want to take it back before I dive into health assessments?
Yes, preach it, girl.
Okay.
Ladies, all of them. Chris, Rachel, and Cindy just gave you the fire right now of literally what does it take to grow this business? What does it take to level up? What does it take to get the life that you desire? And so I really hope you took really great notes. This is something definitely to watch back on. But now we're going to move into really how to lead a strong health assessment. And so I'm actually going to take it back to Cindy to really kind of give us the intro of a health assessment. And how to really lead it strong, you guys, because this is the part that you really want to take notes on. If you feel like maybe that's something, an area that you struggle in, or something that maybe you're not having the ratios that you want, take massive notes. So Cindy, I'm going to actually bring it back to you.
Awesome. All right, you guys. So I personally love health assessments. That was not my story 3 years ago. I was terrified of them. I didn't want to talk to people. I had all these health assessment forms on my desk and I sounded like a robot, honestly, when I started. So I want to go through kind of some key things that are really going to make your health assessments a lot stronger. And it takes grit, it takes consistency, and it definitely takes grace when you're learning how to do a health assessment, you guys. It's by repetition. And so if you guys have these health assessments forms in front of you and you're reading them like this, I'm telling you guys, people feel that on a call. So before you jump on a health assessment, one thing to keep in mind is this may be the very first time you're even interacting with the person you're talking to. If you're building a referral-based business, my favorite is you don't often have to rely so heavily on some of the other action steps because you're taking care of your clients so well that they want to refer your friends and family. So before you jump on a call with somebody, I really want you to prepare yourself for a health assessment. Put yourself in a space where you can pay attention, make sure there's not a ton of distractions around. I know some people do them on Zoom, which is awesome. I prefer a phone call just because I'm so focused on taking notes and listening to what they're saying. Now, I want you guys to build rapport with these people that you are engaging with on these health assessments, particularly if they are someone that you don't know. I mean, the last thing I want, there's some folks who come into a health assessment and they jump in right away. And Susie on the other line's like, probably maybe doesn't think anything of it. Like, cool, it's a health assessment. She's just asking me questions. What I love to do is get really personal with people. I want to break down their walls a little bit. I want to understand a little bit of who they are. If they're a referral, where do they live? Do they have kids? What's their occupation? Some of that rapport I'm doing at the beginning is answering some of the questions at the back of the health assessment anyway, but I want them to feel comfortable with me. The most important part though, is I want to feel comfortable. And what I mean by that is if I dive right into the health assessment, it's going to feel like this intake form where I'm just going question by question, writing down their answers. For me, that's not really engaging. I want to make it sound like it's truly a conversation. So much so that I don't even want them knowing that I'm filling out a piece of paper. So if I could build that rapport at the beginning, ask them some questions, get to know them, when I literally ease into this health assessment, they're not going to have any idea that what I just did was a 20 to 30 minute health assessment. They're just going to think that I had a conversation with them. That's the goal. And that does take practice and consistency and grace. Now, the first part of the health assessment is the whole awaken section. You guys, if there is any part of the health assessment that I want you really to hone in on your skills, it is questions 1 and 2. Because I want you guys to really pull out from these people what their goals are, and I want them to envision their future self. So when you have somebody that says, oh, I just want to get healthy, don't just write down healthy. If they have like a 30-pound weight loss and their goal is getting healthy, that doesn't tell me anything. Not only that, but when they're really down in the dumps and they're having a heck of a hard time sticking to program, it's going to be hard for me to remind them of their goals and really tie into why they started this if they're just like, I just wanted to get healthy. So instead, learn to ask really great questions. So if someone says, I just want to get healthy, awesome. What does healthy mean to you? What does that look like? What are some things that you can't do now that maybe you can do in the future after you lose those 30 plus pounds that you talked about? Really get them to envision their future self. It'll help you, I promise you, down the road. And we're going to touch on kind of client retention in a little bit, but those 2 questions help you bring back their why when they're struggling. We all go through those moments, but if you get a really strong why for them, I promise you they will keep going because you're going to constantly remind them of why they've started. So that awaken section, dive in, spend the most time there. Don't be afraid to ask questions and don't be afraid to make it awkward. And what I mean by that is it's okay if you ask a question and you pause for a few seconds to just get them thinking. A lot of us are really uncomfortable with silence. We hate it. And so if someone doesn't answer the question, we dive in and ask another one right away. Don't do that. Just give them time to think about it and process it, because this may honestly be the very first time that someone's ever asked them to do that. So it's not something that they're just instantly gonna, be able to answer for you. The second part of the health assessment I want to touch, not that the rest of the first page isn't important, but I really want you guys to get good at sharing the 4 components of the program. If you are not sharing the 4 components of the program and you are not excited about each component of the program, guess what? You're selling a diet, because somebody's just going to buy the food if that's what they think that we're about. And then guess what? 30 days later, they're probably not going to reorder because they're not integrated into all components. So get really good about talking about what have these 4 components done for you. Why do you love the books? Why do you love the community? Why do you love being a coach? Great time to drip coaching. And then of course, the smallest component, in my opinion, is the food, because we know they actually don't need the food to lose weight. Is it an amazing tool? Absolutely. Is that how we get paid for the commissions part of that? Sure. But at the end of the day, those books, that's the program, you guys. And if they're in those books, guess what? They're going to buy the food because they're going to understand the importance of it, because there's an element in the book that talks about it. So I want to make sure you guys are emphasizing each of those components. If you don't feel comfortable with it, that's okay, because you guys got that really cool cheat sheet. I don't have it in front of me. But on every health assessment, I still to this day, 3 years later, mind you, have those 4 components in front of me so that I don't miss any of them. And well, let's be honest, we all have our moments and have these like brain lapses. And so it's nice to have that sheet in front of us to reference. But it's not that hard to talk about the 4 components if this program has truly changed your life and you have used all 4 components of the program. So make sure you are really diving into that. The other thing I want to make sure you guys are touching on is coaching. Now, a great opportunity to do that is when you are sharing the coaching aspect of the 4 components. Why did you become a coach? Why was that important to you? Was it for your accountability? Was it financial? Please pour it all on with all of them. It is the first opportunity they have to recognize that, maybe I can do this as well in the future, potentially. Or it's also great for them to hear if they can't afford the program. And Rachel's going to tap into that in a little bit about cost. but having that leverage of, listen, our story truly is that we started coaching because we were putting it on a credit card. And so you best believe I share that on a health assessment now, because sometimes the little light bulb goes off for folks like, gosh, they put on a credit card, then they started coaching and they paid off their credit card. And then I dive into the rest of it. So you just don't know who needs to hear the coaching aspect of it. And in all reality, we know that 1 in 5 people hopefully will coach with us for accountability. It secures our health journey, you guys. I don't know about everyone else, but I can honestly say if I wasn't coaching, I don't know that I would have kept my weight off. It would have been maybe the 3 to 5 year cycle that I was known, honestly, to follow through with. So I'm pretty thankful for that aspect of it. So talk about it, and talk about it pretty unapologetically on this health assessment. And then the fourth thing, the last thing, is I want you to invite them. There has to be some type of invitation at the end of the health assessment. And for me, one of the questions I like to ask is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how ready are you to change your life? Or sometimes I'll mix it up and say, on a scale of 1 to 10, do you think this program is a great fit for you? If they say something below an 8, I ask them questions why. Because if it's below an 8, it could very well be that I didn't explain something well to them. Or maybe I can explain something a little bit better depending on what they're telling me. If it's a cost issue and they say, gosh, it's really expensive, I'm going to spend a little bit more time talking about the cost and breaking it down, or using the habits that they shared when they were talking to me about how often they eat out. If they say it's some other thing about the program, then I'm going to dive in and ask questions. And maybe by the end of the call, I'll get them a little bit higher than, say, a 7 or an 8. What I do want you guys to keep in mind, though, is the invitation is necessary. If it's just a cliffhanger, it's kind of awkward. I want to make sure when I end that call, I know how to follow up with somebody and how ready they are. Am I going to follow up in 2 days because they said, hey, I need to talk to my spouse, clear out finances? Or am I going to follow up with someone because they say something like, gosh, I don't know if this is a good fit for me. I really have to think about it for whatever reason. I'm going to stay connected with them. I'm still going to do follow up Friday and connect, but maybe that conversation is going to be a little bit differently versus bringing it back to the program rather. So just some things to think about. I totally lost my train of thought. Go figure. What was I going to say? Oh, that's what I was going to say. The one thing I want you guys to keep in mind, though, is not every health assessment is going to lead to a client in the moment. If you have the influence with them, if you have the trust with them, and you've led a phenomenal health assessment and they're just ready to sign up, awesome. We all love those. I get super excited when somebody's like, I'm a 10, sign me up right now. Awesome. However, that's not always the case for a lot of folks. This is a big decision, and no, it's not expensive. I don't even believe this a hint these days. But what I can say is, for some folks, it's a little bit of sticker shock at the beginning. And so they want to make sure they talk to their spouses about it, or they want to make sure it's a good decision because it is a lifestyle change. It's not a diet that we're selling that we just want them to quit in 3 or 4 weeks. So if they don't say no to you at the beginning, it's okay. Like, as a baby coach, I used to literally think, oh, what did I do wrong? Should I have said something differently? It's giving ourselves grace. Not every person you talk to is going to sign up in the moment. And I guarantee you, drop a 2 in the text if you are somebody who didn't sign up the same day you had a health assessment. I'm really curious, actually. It's probably the vast majority of, yep, look at all those 2 goes. The vast majority of us did not sign up the same day as our health assessment. So give yourself grace and be consistent with it, you guys. It takes practice. That's all I got. Back to you, Michelle.
I love it. You guys, she just gave you some solid gold tips, does she not? I mean, throw a 3 in the chat if you've learned something, through that, and just knowing that, this really is almost like a dream assessment, right, you guys? Because you're really getting them to see what's possible in their health, and really, she touched on look at all those phrases go. See, really touching on every aspect of what is important. The most important is awakening them, right? Because if you awaken them so well, you're going to see the rest of the health assessment is going to go so much better because they're already excited for what's to come. They're excited about what you're going to say. And she literally Cindy just gave us some solid, incredible tips. I hope you guys took a lot of notes. This is something that, again, you're going to want to watch again and again and again. Okay, awesome, guys. Well, let's keep it going. So now I know, we're doing this incredible health assessment. We've touched on all of the key points that Cindy just so beautifully went through. And now we're going to really talk about the cost, because as we know, you guys, I think that's something that probably as coaches, maybe you could throw something in the chat. That's an area that you're not so far maybe comfortable with, or you feel like you need to straighten that skill set when it comes to really talking about the cost. Because again, I know if you, and you'll see this too, right, is if you get really comfortable with sharing, how the cost really is cost neutral and how our program really, there's no added cost to it. That's something that you're going to see, again, your health assessments go so much better. And so for that, we're going to bring on Rachel to come talk to us about really the cost justification when it comes to that. So Rachel.
Awesome. Okay. So first thing I got for you is a question, and you don't have to put this in the chat. I'm not going to call you out. I want you to reflect on this. Do I think that our program is expensive? Do I feel like our program should be less expensive? Any of those things, if those things live in your heart, they're going to go to your head and they're going to come out of your mouth. Okay. So the very first thing you've got to work on with your mentors before you can get better at cost justification and talking about the things I'm going to drop right now, if that belief system is where that thought lives, we're kind of dead in the water, you guys. So what you got to do is just admit it. This is like humility always precedes greatness, always. So just go to your mentor and say, hey, I think program's expensive. And then they'll go, awesome, zero judgment. Let's go work that out together. Let's really work it out together. That's why they're there for you. I pulled a coach into a Zoom room one time and we just worked it out. We literally talked about cost for 20 minutes and it was so awesome because we did a scenario of Optavia without our food and she came out with double the daily cost minimum, right? And that was no supplementation. That was no coaching. That was just using the foods on page 279 in our books, guys. So like it's an amazing thing to admit so that you can move past it. I did not want to forget to say that as I give you a couple things to work on. Is there why that we established? Cindy did such a beautiful job of make sure you get a really strong why and that you peel that sucker back, because here's the begging question. Is their why worth $14 a day? That's what we got to figure out together. Is their why, that new life that you're going to help them to create, is it worth $14 a day? And if they deem at the end it isn't, and my why's not even that big, and I don't think $14 a day is worth it, then there's nothing you can do about their readiness, okay? But that's not usually the case if we've done a good job peeling it back and setting those things up. So here's a couple things I want to share with you. If Cindy Kidd was my health assessment, here's how it kind of goes for me. Take some notes, see if this resonates with you. Cindy, first of all, thank you so much for sharing everything you just shared with me in this last 25, 30 minutes. Like, I appreciate your trust. That was awesome. I feel now that this program is a direct match, and let me share with you why. First of all, let me just make sure. Have you ever had a health coach? She's going to go, nope. Okay. Have you ever brought all that stuff that you shared with me? Have you ever brought that into community? Like, have you ever brought your food and your health fully into community and had a supportive, like-minded community that you've done this with? No, not really. They might mention the gym or something, and then we affirm how that's helpful, right? And then I might ask her, have you ever had perfect supplementation that you remember to take 7 days out of 7, or do you average 2 like me and it all sits on the counter? Oh yeah, haha, no, my probiotic is great when I remember to take it. Wonderful. Okay. Have you ever had perfect nutrition where you weren't guessing about your intake, your calories, your macros? Have you ever had someone really design that for you for your goals and protect your muscle and all that? No, I've never had that. Okay, great. And then have you ever been a part of a behavioral program around some of these concepts that I heard, like all or nothing? You mentioned you've been on a lot of diets, so I'm hearing a diet mentality. Have you ever brought that into a behavioral program where you're learning how to start doing things you want and stop doing things you don't want to do? No, I've never done that. Great. Well, listen, and that's why this is a home run. And that's what I'm going to offer you, all 4 of those components. We're going to have perfect supplementation. We're going to feed you 5 times a day, and you're only going to be responsible for 1 meal of your own, and we'll guide that. You're going to have a behavioral program so you could start doing the things you want and stop doing the things you don't want to do. We're going to bring that into full community. You're going to have the most support you've ever had, because 85% of dieters fail, and we stepped into that. Okay. And so now she's thinking, oh my gosh, how much is this going to cost to have a health coach, perfect supplementation, go to meetings every week, have a behavioral system, have all this accountability and support, plus she's going to feed me 5 times a day. She's thinking, oh my gosh, can I afford it? And then I go, but here's the coolest part ever. You're just going to change grocery stores. After listening to your health assessment, my friend, we're doing better than cost neutral. I was hoping for cost neutral, but after listening to you for the last 30 minutes, you're going to pay yourself to get healthy. You're going to get to be in that camp. Okay. Our program, very straightforward, my friend. Any program worth its name starts at $100 a week. We're right there. Our program's $100 a week. It's $13.85 a day, or 14. And we feed you 5 times a day. Each meal, I mean, what do you think a healthy meal costs? Like if I was going to go to your house and have a healthy meal, what would it cost? And people go, I don't know, around $11 or $14, something like that. I go, okay, let's just kind of use like a Chipotle bowl. Where are we at? You know, great. Our meals, my friend, are $3 a pop. That's how I know you can afford it, because I can't eat anything other than top ramen for less than that. Like, you know, you got to have some conviction about your words and go, this is such a no-brainer. Now, listen, this program, my last question, Cindy, I just want to make sure, how long has this been going on? How long have you been struggling? How long? Ask that question, guys. I promise you, set it up for a long-term engagement. And she's going to say a long time. Like, great. I figured that was like me. I was the girl every January looking for my new diet, right? So I relate. Don't forget to relate when you're talking about money and what your fears were and how this is a no-brainer. But you know what's crazy? I haven't had to do anything for 4 Januaries, and that's what I want to give you. And so I thought you were going to say that. And that's why I want to reiterate, it's $100 a week. We buy our program 4 weeks at a time, because, we don't have food at the store around the corner. We always have you stocked with a couple weeks on hand at all times. And I'm going to coach you through 3 phases of the program. You're going to go from induction to transition to optimization. The cheapest part of the plan will be optimization. I'm going to say that again. The least expensive part of your plan will be optimization. Because guys, this is how we transitioned 10 people this month. And all 10 of them were like, holy crud, 5-in-1's the cheapest way to go. Because now the grocery store is inflated and I got to make a second lean and green and a third lean and green. And they're fighting me to stay on the 5-in-1. And I got to stop the weight loss and be like, no, because they're like, no. This is the cheapest plan for me, because they've been fully abiding in it and seeing their savings. So I could go all day on cost, but all I'm going to say is 3 things. Work on your mindset. Have really good skills, and those aren't going to happen from this one training. It's going to happen through what the word that Cindy nailed, consistency. You're going to have to take a ton of swings. You're going to have to watch the price breakdown video, but it's pretty simple. This program is cost neutral. You're just going to change grocery stores, but oh my gosh, the services are going to be worth their weight in gold. And we're going to provide a product and a service for less than what you're spending on your anti-health foods today. So good news all the way around for you. You're winning. And I'd love to get you started and place your order so we can start reallocating some of that spend right now and stop the bleeding and get you doing things that serve you well.
So good, so good. I hope you guys took notes on that, because you know, when you go through all that Rachel really just mentioned and really just shared with you, people really start to see, oh wow, you know what, I can't afford this program, right? And so that was incredible. Thank you for sharing, Rachel, and really going through that. You guys, like, when you are so, number one, passionate about this program, right? But also, you know that this program is not expensive, you're going to portray that, right? You share what you believe. And so if you are feeling that this program is expensive, that's something to talk, like Rachel said, talk that out with your coach, because then you're actually kind of feeding off of that too. And and people sense that, people know that. And so thank you so much. All right, so next let's get into, you're gonna have some objections, right? You're gonna have people that are gonna still object, or, you know, and I really want you guys to understand these objections, right? We know that it's never a no, it's just a not yet. So for that, I'm gonna take it over to outside this office in the kitchen to Josh to come on and share with us. Josh Bomba, are you there? I know you're there. Oh, I need to unmute him. Hold on one second. I didn't make him a co-host. Let's see where you're at. Okay, there you go.
Way to go. Cool. Can you also turn your volume down a little bit so I don't hear an echo? So good stuff that we've heard so far, guys. Can you believe everything that's come out of Rachel's mouth, out of Cindy's mouth, Chris as well? So much value so far. But guys, I'm hoping to help you get a little more comfortable with the invite, but really almost help you understand what people are saying when they're, we've already heard the objections. Got to talk to a husband or a wife. Got to, it might be too expensive, you know, a whole bunch of different things. But what I want you to know is we're not here to close people. We are not here to sell them on the program. If we have to convince somebody to do this, or if somebody's not ready, more than likely they're not going to be successful. So I want everybody to remember that, right? So when it comes to understanding objections and smoke screens, it's not about closing them. It's really about getting into what it is that they really want and offering a solution. Remember, how many people came on here that just threw a 2 in the chat about not starting, you know, right after their health assessment? It's because there's a lack of belief. I've done things before, you know, this hasn't worked. I've done all the diets. What's my husband gonna say? So really at that point, we need to believe in them until they can believe in themselves, right? So remember, you just went through 20 to 30 minutes, you know, on a health assessment with them. You have them at a point where they're really understanding those dreams and really kind of switching their brain over into the what if point. What if this can really happen? What if I can really start feeling good again? What if? So we want to be confident. We want to be professional. Remember, professionals offer solutions, right? So what we do with Optavia, it's a solution. I think the worst thing that we can do when we're finishing up a health assessment is we can ask somebody, what do you think? Because like I just said, we're in that dream space, or that different part of our brain. When you say, what do you think? That's gonna switch over that analytical part of their brain. And it's gonna put them back into that disbelief. I've done things like this before, you know, my husband's not gonna let me, it's not gonna, you know, it's gonna be too expensive. But really the idea is we want to keep them almost on the positive side, or in that dreaming side. So one of the easiest ways is after we run through the health assessment, we close out by saying, hey, look, Michelle, after our talk and understanding, you know, that you would like to X, Y, and Z, whatever that person's goals are, I'd really recommend our essentials kit as a solution to help you get to those goals. Do you have any other questions for me, or do you think you're ready to get started? Rachel went through one way to say it so beautifully, but I usually just go, do you have any other questions, or are you ready to get started? Usually the next person to talk loses, right? So a lot of people get uncomfortable with silence. I think that's what Cindy just said a few minutes ago as well. You have to be really comfortable at that silence part, because a lot of things are going through their brains right now, and they're bouncing from that analytical side to that dream side to what if to I've done this before. So really what we do is we have to be confident in the solution that we're offering them, and how we know via our own experience or via the people that we've coached. If you're a brand new coach, usually you're sharing your own experience, right? As you grow in your coaching time, I find myself sharing a lot of my clients' stories because they relate more to what that client's looking for. But blink at me if you guys have ever had a cost objection, right? I know Rachel just broke down costs, so I don't have to go too much into it. But what I will tell you is 100% of the people that come on these health assessments know that there is a cost for a transaction, right? So they're coming into this knowing it's going to cost some money, right? That $400 mark might be different from where they thought, right? Because the program is $400. Rachel just broke it down to where some people save money, the majority of them break even, but they know that there's going to be a cost when they're coming to this. So our job is to figure out where the difference is, right? Where we might ask them, you know, if cost wasn't, you know, an option or a thing, would this still be something that you would want to do, right? And we want to let them know too, when they do talk about the cost, we want to agree with them. I understand a lot of my clients felt that way before starting, right? So now we're planting the seed that there's a whole lot of people that have felt the same as you before they started, right? So that's saying that the same people with the same objection still started, right? We also want to figure out how far are we off from that initial point that they came in thinking, let's say it's going to be $300, right? And now it's $415. Well, now there's a whole different training on it, but now we got to figure out how to close the gap, right? Because we're not competing against $400. Now we're only competing against that $100, right? That could be a wellness credit to get you closer to it. It could be a whole bunch of other things. But the idea here is we want to figure out if cost wasn't an issue. Number one, would they still want to do this? And what is the number that we're competing against? One of the other things that you'll probably get is I need to talk with a spouse, right? How many of you have gotten that one before? Well, that still in a way is a smokescreen, because I guess the question to that would be, I understand and agree, but what do you think they're going to say? Well, they have to talk to a spouse because they know that whatever it is, maybe it turns out to be cost. Maybe it turns out to be that they've done things like this in the past. You know, Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, whatever all the other ones are. Maybe they need to know what's going to make this time different. So when we do hear, I do want to talk to a spouse, I would really, really get to the point and say, I totally agree. I understand. I had to talk to my spouse too, right? But what do you think they're going to say? And I think that that's really where you get to that underlying objection there. And that could be something that, again, like we talked about cost, where we find out that we have $100 that we're competing against. So getting through those smoke signals. And how about, I need more info? On this one, I think it's just some people that are at that point where they don't know if this is something they want to do, or they get nervous because they've failed at things before. There's a whole bunch of things with this one, but with this, usually I say something like, oh, perfect. Yeah, definitely. I totally understand. But I must not have done a good job on explaining those 4 components. What is it exactly that you're looking for more info on? And at that point, you're almost putting yourself at that point, and most people will say, yeah, you did a great job explaining it. But if we're talking about the program, the info that we have comes from those 4 components. And at that point, I know odds are you did a great job explaining the program, running through those. But it really gets down to digging deeper into what it is that they're looking for. And a lot of people will come in with excuses in the beginning because they're worried about one of those three. And that at least helps with the follow-up when it comes to how are you going to follow up? What are we going to say? How often? Different things like that. But those are really the big three smoke signals that we see that usually can be talked back into gaining somebody's confidence in what we have here as well. So that's all I got on smoke signals. So Michelle, back to you.
Actually, I'm going to take it just in the spirit of time. Michelle asked me to just go ahead and get this part going. I'm going to introduce Julie Russell. She's going to take us through this next piece. So progressively, what we're showing you guys is health assessment. We're showing you, well, this morning was mindset, skill set, actions all the way through. And so we're going to give you a little teaser. Next week, you will not want to miss next week, guys. And here's why. Getting a client to come on board is amazing. But if they're coming in and leaving as fast as they're coming in, that's not amazing, okay? That's like putting 5 oranges in the bag. All of us want to go to senior coach every month, but then we look on the floor and we're like, we got 5 oranges on the floor. What the heck's going on with the bag? Is there a hole in the bag? Like, what's going on? And so this piece is paramount for your business. I want to just give you a little image, and then I'm going to turn this over to Julie. If you failed to integrate your clients, okay, because you don't know how, probably you're not willing, it's just maybe you just don't know how yet. That's why your mentor coaches are there for you. Once we give the client, I want to give you an image of a toddler with a sucker, okay? Have you guys ever tried to take a sucker from a toddler? It's messy for them and for you. It's on your shirt, it's on their shirt, it's a tug of war. That's what it's like once you let it go. It's really, I'm going to say it's like getting the Titanic to make a U-turn, to let go of integration and let the client just start running, doing a food-based program. They have no idea about community. They have never met your mentor coach. They are not going to refer you because they're just eating food. Like, it's a mess. And so we don't want that for you. We all want so much more for you. We want you to add 5 and get 3 more through referrals and another 5 next month. So we're going to solve this together. And as a group, we're going to get so good at client support that we don't keep adding and replacing them as fast as we get them. So with that, we're going to do it so big time next week. But real quick, Julie's going to help you with that first week of working with your clients. We're going to go to about 8-10. Bear with us. It's worth it to solve the riddle together. So Julie, my friend, you want to take it from here?
Yeah, and I love that because it really is going to go right along with that first week, right? We want to set them up for success, but we also want to give them a different experience than what they have already experienced in their life. Okay, so what most people come in with is, I've done this diet, I've done this thing, it's food centric. And so what I try to do is cover the food so well on the journey kickoff call that we can immediately move into mindset work. Okay. 5-in-1 is not difficult as far as complicated. Some people who have no background in nutrition, yes, it's a little complicated for them. And so let's give them grace on that. That's where grace comes in. But really head the problems off before they start. Okay. I only did 5-in-1 for a week or two because I was at a healthy weight when I came in as a coach. Guys, 5-in-1 is hard. Like I had a hard time with 5-in-1. And so just know that this person coming in, changing everything about what they're doing, it's not easy. It's going to be hard. There's going to be challenges. So help them get through those challenges, okay? And give them grace. But also, I'm going to bring in that grit and grace because it is so good. Be gritty with them. Recently on a journey kickoff call with a gal that I do not even know, she's brand new to my world. I just told her, listen, before you get started tomorrow, I want you to put this in your mind. You have a big why. You have things that you want to change. You have these goals that are going to take a lot of work. Fight for it. Don't roll over and play dead when something gets a little hard. And man, she started crying like that because I think she had already talked herself into giving up if she couldn't do it the first few days. And so just head that off. Come in with this mindset with them that they can do it, but they're going to have to fight for it, and be there with them to fight for it. Okay. Top things on the journey kickoff call to really get people started well: Zoom with them, share your screen, show them all of the guides, go through it so well that they are probably not going to have questions about food the first week. I invest that time up front because if they're confident in knowing how to prepare a lean and green, they're not going to quit so easily, right? And so we have to give them those skills. They're not going to just get them by osmosis. You have to explain this to them. And so I share my screen. I have all the guides up on my screen. If you don't know how to Zoom and share your screen, get with your mentor. Let's figure that piece out, because it is a very useful tool. So the grit and the grace, but the consistency. So this is, as they asked me to do this part of the training, I thought to myself, man, how can I get better at week one client support? Because I do have attrition. I have people that give up really quickly. And so I'm always trying to hone my skills. And I thought, if we could start out with some daily consistency of getting this right, I think they're going to do so much better. And so those win the day cards, I think that would be a really great tool that we could use with our clients, especially in the first week, because they are like herding cats, right? They're like, I can't drink water. I don't know about this. I don't know about my timing. But if you could give them some structure for their day to help them focus on what they really want, I think that it will really help set the stage for a great first week. Everybody knows, send the text messages, check on their lean and grain. That's all so basic at this point that I feel like if we only depend on that very basic food stuff, we're going to lose people so quickly, because it's no different than anything they've ever experienced. So man, jump in, start doing the mindset work immediately, and show them that this is different than a diet, and really challenge them. So help them to find their grit, help them to fight for what they want. And that's about it. I wanted to keep it really short because I know that we're over time, but man, you guys set it up so well. Grit, grace, and consistency. Challenge them. That's what you're there for. But give them grace and help them to win the day. And I think that you'll get your clients off to a really great start. And Zoom, Zoom, Zoom. Don't neglect the Zoom, people. If you don't know the person, you got to Zoom to make that connection. So I just, that's it.
I love it, Julie. Set us up so well. And you guys, your client's first week of success is so important, right? It is what's going to set up their journey moving forward to help them reach their goals. So we want to have a really good, strong start. And Julie really just laid it out beautifully, really challenge them. But you guys, share with them that it's not going to be easy. I think if we sugarcoat it too much, oh, you'll be fine, you'll be fine. Yes, we know they'll be fine. But it's a sense of also let them know, hey, I understand, have empathy. Know that it's hard for them. Because remember your first week, how not so fun it was, right? You guys, the first few days, the headaches, the hunger, like people, you start to question if this is really something that you wanted to do, right? And so have empathy and really just be there for them and say, hey, I know that you're having a hard time, but just trust me. Give yourself this entire first week to just do it 100%. And by day 8, you are going to feel so amazing. You're going to see incredible results so early on. And just like exactly what Julie said, warn them, let them know. And that's something that you want to let them know in the journey kickoff call, what their week is going to look like. Let them know what they're going to expect day 1 through day 4. Let them know, hey, these these are the things that you're gonna feel. But you know what? It's a really good sign when you feel them because it shows that it's working. It shows that your body's actually like it's working as it's going to fat burn. And so really just set them up for success that way. Let them know, warn them, but let them know what their week's gonna look like. And let me tell you, when you really experience an incredible first week with your client, you're going to see the attrition of them being, the attrition, will lessen because remember, right? It's going to be so important for them to see, okay, I could do this first week. I had a strong first week. Let's go for week 2, right? And just encourage them just to take it week by week, and you're going to support them every step of the way. So, all right, you guys. Well, we wanted to get into, obviously, your client's first month, because as we know, that's such an important piece too, outside that first week and their first month. But we did not want to rush it because we know that we're on time and we want to respect your guys' weekend and all the things that you have going on. So we're actually going to pick that up next week. This is something that you will not want to miss. This is strong client integration, strong client support, really helps with when it comes to their first month on plan. And we're going to go through all the incredible things, the struggles, the victories. And so it's something that you guys don't want to miss. We're going to continue on those daily action videos. So you guys, I'm going to encourage you, if you haven't, it's not too late. Go to day 1, start with day 1, then go to day 2, day 3. So no matter where you are coming into this, you can absolutely, start those daily action videos in the group. But I'm going to encourage you, keep those going because the group is set up so beautifully to really help the influence on social media, to really help so many people moving forward. So thank you guys for being on. Thank you so much to all the incredible presenters that were on, the speakers, and this is something that you guys will want to keep watching over and over. Send it off to your team. We're going to have the recording up shortly, and definitely send it off to them. So you guys have a great weekend. Have a great rest of your day. We will pick it up next week, you guys, for some strong client integration moving forward. So you guys have a good one.